The headline gaming news of the past week is that Yuzu, a popular Nintendo Switch emulator, is now dead. Threatened by an endless legal battle with Nintendo, the creators chose to settle for $2.4 million and have agreed to shut down the project for good. Whether or not you agree with their decision to collect donations for their work through Patreon, I think the successful bullying of an emulator by a company like Nintendo sets a very worrying precedent for the future of emulation. As I have stated time and time again on this channel, I believe that video games are works of art, not unlike music, film, or literature. Unfortunately, the rights holders for many of these artworks are clearly uninterested in preserving their past work. When the only way to legally experience a game like, for example, LSD Dream Emulator for the PlayStation 1 is to find a copy on eBay for over $1,000, then I think we need to rethink our society's policies regarding the concept of copyrights. If a company like Nintendo provided an avenue to acquire all their past catalog of games on their latest consoles, then this would be much less of an issue. Unfortunately, without the selfless work of individual fans creating these emulators, most of gaming history would be a mix of lost media or only available to the wealthiest of collectors. As a pretty sizable physical games collector myself, I don't think it's fair to restrict these artworks to people like me who essentially maintain private museums. A classic game isn't quite like a Renaissance painting that may exist somewhere in a museum but can be mostly appreciated through your web browser just by looking at it. No, a game needs to be experienced and controlled firsthand to achieve the full understanding of. Make no mistake, Switch titles may be new today, but in the blink of an eye, both you and that console will be old and decrepit. Most games released for it are not Zelda or Mario, and certainly don't sell millions of copies. There will be many experiences made rarer and rarer to come across if emulating them isn't possible. The importance of emulation lies not only in its capacity to resurrect obsolete games, but also in its ability to make gaming history accessible to a broader audience. As original hardware becomes scarce and expensive, emulation provides an affordable and inclusive means for enthusiasts, researchers, and the general public to engage with the diverse array of video games that have shaped the medium over decades. Moreover, emulation facilitates the preservation of regional variants, prototypes, and unreleased titles that may have otherwise been consigned to oblivion. Through reverse engineering and software development, dedicated communities ensure that every facet of gaming history, no matter how obscure, is safeguarded for future generations. Beyond entertainment value, video games hold cultural significance. They serve as conduits for storytelling and artistic expression. Just as literature and cinema reflect societal values and norms, video games provide a unique, interactive platform through which users can explore and be challenged. Outlawing emulation poses significant dangers to the heritage encapsulated in these games, as well as stifling innovation and hindering the democratization of history. While it's true that legal precedent was set that maintains making personal copies of software for one's own use is legal, that doesn't mean companies have to make this an easy process. To dump your own Switch ROMs, you'll need an early firmware Switch console that hasn't been updated, then you'll need to go through the process of jailbreaking it to allow it to export the ROMs on your cartridges. Console manufacturers painstakingly push out patches for their consoles, even quite old consoles that they no longer produce or sell, to patch out exploits used by people who simply wish to dump the ROMs of games they already paid for. Take a step back and ask yourself if this sounds ethical. The way I see it, there are a number of pro-consumer steps that legislating bodies can take to ensure the preservation of these works of art for generations to come. My favorite idea would be to make it so that if a company doesn't sell a specific game for a certain number of years and shows no interest in supporting it, they should be forced to relinquish that specific title to the public. Not necessarily public domain per se, I don't think random people should be able to profit off of it, but simply free to use for educational or personal use. In the case of long-gone online multiplayer games, people should be permitted to run private servers and accept donations to cover running costs. Unfortunately, it looks like we are headed squarely in the opposite direction. The mere threat of an endless legal battle with Nintendo and the costs associated with such a battle are more than enough to bully these everyday developers into submission. I'm afraid that what happened here with Yuzu will embolden various companies, not just Nintendo, in their never-ending quest to bury the very history they worked so hard to create. As always, I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel, it would mean a lot to me. Until next time, thanks for watching.